That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
Fairly alarmed here.
Welcome to MOTN Reviews. This is Masters of the Nerdiverse Reviews, where we take a look at some of cinema's most shiniest supernovas and some that are not so brightly lit. This quantic conundrum of a podcast can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and Spotify. I'm, of course, your host, Mike G. In the figment of my imagination to my left today is, of course, my also host, Ozzy Austin. What's going on?
I am here. We are here. We're going to go through this movie today. Bop, 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 bop.
That's the theme of the channel.
Is it though?
We're going to get the ghost of Prince and F. Scott Fitzgerald to sing that hook, you know?
That sounds like an impossible pipe dream, so I'll just support you in that, and I will laugh in the background.
It's more cruel to do that than just laugh in my face, dude.
Exactly.
That's more cruel. That's why you laugh like the Crypt Keeper.
Man, that'd be nice. That'd be nice to do.
Speaking of things that might be dead, we're talking about one of the most... I don't even know how to classify this movie, so I'm just going to give its title. Released in 2020, directed by one Charlie Kaufman. We're reviewing Netflix's own I'm Thinking About Ending Things.
This movie is a goddamn trip. I will say that much. My gosh, it is. How do I typify this movie?
I'm thinking about ending things. And then you have to interrupt me right when I'm saying it in my own head. What the hell?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What is this movie?
So whenever we go into this movie,
it's
very interesting because, you know, what is your what do you see this movie as, Mike? What do you see this movie as?
So I'm gonna give you.
I'll tell you this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't believe it's a movie.
Here's the thing.
There's no more anything to be about a movie. I got to keep interrupting you because that's the theme of this movie.
Okay, that's fine. You know, it's the theme of the podcast.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
The impetus of why I wanted to record this or watch this movie in the first place was I was on YouTube and I was following I was watching I think it was a whatculture.com, which is a good channel. They do a lot of top tens and like talking points. And they were talking up, and the actual subject line was top 10 horror movies you haven't seen this year. And this was listed like number 4. And they listed it as a horror movie, but for relationships. And they were having they're having the hardest time staying vague about what this movie is actually about. And it intrigued me, you know?
It is super hard to just to type down what this movie really is about.
This movie, we're not going to go into deep spoilers because I really want people to watch this for themselves. This movie is hard to nail because it does everything and it does nothing at the same time. Like your sentiment that this is not a film is not wrong because the way it's structured almost deliberately breaks every rule that a movie should follow. And it does it in a beautiful, poignant, yet empty and hollow way that it leaves you both icy and hot. You know what I mean? It's the strangest feeling. Like, I haven't had a movie affect me like this since maybe Jacob's Ladder. You know, where by the end of this movie, I put it on our Twitter at Nerdiverse. This movie, I felt moved by the end of this movie in a weird way. Like, moved, like watching like Jessica Tandy and Driving Miss Daisy or something weird. Like watching Steel Magnolias, like, because the movie doesn't let you stay on one foot for too long. Would you agree? Like, your emotions and your focus in what you think is happening is bouncing. It never stops bouncing. So you're never comfortable. watching this movie.
That's a good way to put it. Because it's how do we put it?
Yeah.
This movie is so goddamn weird because it's not really following
Anyone.
It's not following any kind of actual, just typical idea of what a movie typically is. It's just, I had a hard time watching this, and the second time was not helping me in general, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those where the first time I watched it by myself, and I just was screaming by myself. I had no one to talk to. This movie is not on any giant radar, right? The second time I watched it with a friend because I wanted to gauge her response. And pretty much her response was, in this track record, Mike, how long does this scene last? Mike, I hate this movie. Mike, I love this movie. In that order. And it's kind of where what this movie does to you. It constantly, it feels like you're having an inner ear infection in a weird way. You feel off. Like your center of gravity is never there. You know, cause, I'm being very vague about what this is even about. At its face, this movie is about a young woman who we really never get a true understanding of who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Where she is, going on her first major trip with her recent boyfriend to visit their parents. And I want to say, Tulsa, Oklahoma. A lot of Tulsa in my life lately. That's strange.
Yeah, right.
Man. And the movie is about her coming to terms with that she's considering ending their relationship, even though it's just started.
But I will say, just the intro starts that chain alone, and it's so hardcore because this is like the most introspective, quiet ASMR like intro I've seen in a while. Mm-hmm. Just shot after shot after shot of quiet little things with this quiet little dialogue. And this woman just feels like she is at such a crossroads. She's having a near depressed panic, even just thinking about it.
And it's like you said, it's not heavy-handed. This movie is anti-heavy-handed. It's so soft and subtle and an undercurrent that the words she's saying are hitting you so hard that you just don't kind of know what to do with yourself. Like she when you first meet her, it opens on this. It looks like maybe downtown Oklahoma, like some other city, maybe even another state. And it's sunny and bright, and she's wearing vibrant colors, and she's smiling. She looks like Mary Tyler Moore in a weird way, right? She's just, but then the moment, the movie doesn't even give you a moment to settle, because then you have the onset of this creepy figure watching her from a high rise. Mm-hmm. And the movie is shot like a horror movie in a weird way. And not necessarily jump scares and threatening music, but the camera angles and the shots they choose are unsettling and so menacing that you don't know how to feel because there's nothing going on. You know what I mean? You're so tense, but nothing's going on. And after a while, you realize that nothing like that's going to happen.
Nothing will happen at this. It's just,
It's so weird. It builds you up, Buttercup, and it never releases you. It never releases you. That's
a good way to put it, actually.
You know? And you're left with this feeling like, what did I just watch? Right? But then you start thinking about it and it starts churning afterwards. This is the perfect movie if you want to watch this with a bunch of friends for the first 2 hours of the night, and you're going to spend the rest of the 8 hours of your night talking about it. It's that kind of movie where maybe it was this and maybe it was that. And the way that the characters are set up, just wanted to go into the boyfriend, who is played by, I want to say Jesse Plemons. And these characters don't almost seem human in a weird way. Mm-hmm. They feel like aliens wearing human suits, like Men in Black. You know what I'm saying? Just because of their dialogue is so stutter. Would you say? How did you feel about the boyfriend character?
I really do think I don't want to be deep spoilers like you mentioned.
Yeah, no deep spoilers, but
He is the main character.
Yes.
He is the main character, and I would argue so because he has a name.
He's the only one with a solid name.
The girlfriend, the narrator, has a lie for her name.
And it's a constant lie.
It's a constant changing lie. And this is so damn weird because it feels like she's not even telling okay, to be fair, it's totally, how do you put it? It's totally in line with how the characters are with each other, that they lie constantly and don't be truthful with one another. But goddamn, there is no semblance of anything besides just deception and the most neutral, boring, septic show of relationship between the two.
Yeah, and what was messing with me was in this movie, there's a scene where they're in a car, they're having the road trip. They're driving across country in this bleak, almost purgatory-like white winter. And the movie feels like it's lasting forever in this scene. And she is
It lasts a good 10 minutes. I checked.
Yeah, and it feels longer than that, though, because of the way it's shot. Like, okay, what else is going to happen? Is this the whole movie? The movie makes you feel that way. And she's so heavy because, like you said, she's having this almost manic depressive meltdown about the state of their relationship and how she can't really pinpoint how long they've even been together. Oh, 2, 3, 7 weeks. I'm not sure. Like, how would you, like, this is the spring of your love. Why would you not pinpoint that? You know what I mean? And what was messing with me was her body language was so defensive that it was like she wasn't even in a car with anyone. Like she was like waiting in a parking lot. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's what tripped me out. Like her body language and how she would kind of, when he would talk, she wouldn't even really stare at him. She would just kind of point her head in his direction and talk toward the screen or something, you know, like it was weird, man.
It super is, because that's really accurate that just nothing is comfortable in this.
Yeah. It doesn't let you get comfortable. Like I said, it keeps you on one foot and never lets you stand on even ground. Cause even her inner monologue is constantly, like you mentioned, constantly being interrupted by him. Almost to the point where you get the feeling that he's reading her mind, right? Because
it's just like really bad timing, in all honesty.
Yeah, and that's the rub, isn't it? Like, there's the scene where she's like, "I'm thinking about ending things" in her head, but he stares at her like he heard her say that, right? And you're like, "Wait, what?" And then the boyfriend character, he's so cerebral, but yet he's so unfeeling. And not necessarily even unfeeling. He's just so closed off. Like he's socially, I'm not going to use the R word, but that would actually be fitting for this.
He's autistic, essentially?
Not even that, because he just seems like socially stunted, right?
Yes, that's a better way to put it. He's, especially with how he treats his parents, too. Jesus.
Oh, yeah, let's talk about that. So, the parents' house, which is its own character. So they get to the parents' house. And the parents are played by the brilliant Toni Collette. I didn't know she was in this movie. Mm-hmm. And when I saw Toni Collette was playing the mother, that's when I was like, let's strap in. This is about to get crazy as hell, dude. Like,
and it did. It really did.
And Toni Collette, this woman is probably one of my favorite actresses of the last like 5 years, because she sells it so hard as this mother who is actually throughout the film sundowning throughout the film, right? She has a full sundown. And for those who don't know what the term sundowning means, and please, I'm not a therapist but my understanding of the word sundowning is that it's based upon a form of Alzheimer's or dementia, where the later in the evening goes, the later your mental faculties, the more your mental faculties deteriorate. Mm-hmm. This happens a lot with people with dementia and with Alzheimer's, things like that. And when you meet the mother, she's vibrant and loud and boisterous and like everything that the boyfriend Jake is not. And Jake almost resents it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
and he is very rude to his parents, left, right, and center, just like back and forth, and it's like he just can't help it.
It's and the thing, and have you ever been in a situation where
it's just so hard.
I know that person, like where you have a friend and they're a certain way, but when they get around their parents, their whole personality changes. Have you ever seen that in people? Like they become either meek and like you could just be like, holy snap, this guy probably had a horrible, relationship with his parents, or they become real loud and aggressive. Like I've known people who, when they get around their parents, become completely different people.
Yeah,
And,
that's very fair.
and Jake, he was already passive, but when he got to his parents' house, he almost didn't say 2 or 3 words the whole time.
And there's no, I mean, was there a reason for it?
Thematically, no, I don't think so. There's a scene, and we can definitely go into some light spoilers about the nature of the house, and how going home is the worst. That fucking blood curdling poem she reads on the way there.
Oh my God.
That
Big
thing.
blue whale.
Oh
Dread bones.
Your house is a dried skeleton. Going home is the worst.
God damn.
This movie, man. Jack.
It just sets you on edge. Like that first poem she reads, it's just like,
And it just doesn't stop.
I don't
Right?
know how that feels.
And then he's like, I loved it. But the mom, I think their relationship is so weird because the father, who plays by character actor David Thewlis, who's been in a ton of stuff, the father is just completely ineffectual. He doesn't really have any precedent on anything. And I was telling my homegirl, I was like, it almost feels like he's a puppet. Like he's not a real person. Right? He feels like he's like a ventriloquist dummy almost. Cause he kind of bops around and he's very soft spoken as well, but actually has a pulse sometimes.
Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm like struggling to really put to words. This movie is just so off kilter in the first half alone, and then the second half it just becomes basically just a drug trip. Yeah,
it becomes an acid trip after they leave their parents' house. I mean, no, it becomes an acid trip during the parents' house, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And the parents' house is a place where a lot of like revelations happen about not just our narrator and her place in Jake's life, but Jake himself. And like, where are we with Jake, who, like you said, is the default main character, but he's not, because he's not the focal point in storytelling.
But the movie focuses so much more on him during the climax. It's like he's a dark horse of a character.
Yes, and that also feeds back into the creepy janitor that we kind of forementioned at the beginning of this review.
I'm not going to talk about the janitor because there's a lot about the janitor you can't really get into without spoiling everything.
Okay, but I will mention there's a creepy janitor. All in all, this film it's almost like living a person's life and fast forward and then rewind at the same time. If that's too much of a spoiler, because even me making that sentence doesn't make sense. It's like their relationship based upon the beginning, middle, and end. Because this movie has 3 parts to it. The first part is the car ride. The second part is the him visiting his parents, and the third act is the climax of the film. Not necessarily even a climax, but the aftermath of them visiting their parents' home. And this movie just sets you on an emotional roller coaster that makes me feel like it's horror, but also makes me feel like it's romantic comedy, but it's not funny. because it's so dry.
Romantic comedy is a interesting way to put it.
Yeah, because sometimes there's some parts that are just funny, but then they take it away from you. Like,
Yeah.
there is a legit jump scare in this movie that got me. That got me so good. I don't even know if we're on the same wavelength. About with his mother.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I can see that.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And there's a legit jump scare, the only one. And I just was like, holy shnikes. Like, okay, this movie has me way too on edge. My brain is firing too fast watching this film. And that's a credit to Charlie Kaufman. If you ever seen any of his movies, like Being John Malkovich, Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind, you know how this dude rolls. Like, he's very abstract in his approach. In this movie, man, like I said, I was moved by the end of the film because it's everything and it's nothing. Like you said, it's not a movie, but it is a movie. It's terrifying, but it's haunting, but it's hopeful, but it breaks you down, but it builds you up. It's probably one of the most interesting movies I've seen in a very long time.
It's not a movie with a whole lot of like resolution or conflict. It's more so the dynamics of what it means to be healthily communicating between two adults in a relationship and how just stupid easy it is to continue a relationship that's so shallow that no longer has any business being kept alive.
And that's a point in this film, and that's kind of one of the undercurrent points, is that it's so easy to stay in a middling relationship. It's so easy to what's the word I'm looking for? To settle. It's so easy to settle. People will do it all the time. They grow old settled, and they're never truly happy or feel fulfilled. And I think that was her kind of modus operandi, is that this relationship is going nowhere. He's a nice guy, but it's just not, I'm thinking of ending things. I don't know what to do with him anymore.
Exactly. It's just,
you know, I have no forward momentum with him. And I honestly don't know how to proceed.
yeah, it's just rough all around because there's no evidence that they should stay together. But then, like, the entire last third of the movie happens, and it's like,
and then there's no evidence that they are together in a weird way. There's one moment of actual relationship intimacy, and it's ruined immediately. They don't give it to you. You know what I mean?
Like how they refuse to name the actual female lead.
Yeah, because her name changes. She's an unreliable narrator because of the nature of relationship. Jake is, in a way, dictating her thoughts. Right?
Yeah, and it doesn't help that she's essentially just a stand-in. She's almost like an allegory for Jake himself.
Yeah.
To like what bad relationships he's had in the past already, and how he's just constantly failing trying to get things done that his parents can approve of as well as himself. There's so much to this.
I want to say a word, and I don't know if you're in this. She's a homunculus, right?
She's an amalgamation of different people that he's dated over the time of his life.
Exactly. And that's why things happen in the film where even her tangibility is in question. Right? Like,
True.
You know what I mean? Her tangibility as a human on Earth, you know, is in question about the actual events of this movie, what actually happened versus what is perceived to be happening because it's on a screen and human beings are talking to us in a camera. You know what I mean? It messes with you that way.
Oh, it super does. My God. It doesn't want to give you anything straight.
No, it's always a curved line. There's no emotion that it's seen through. Every emotion is halted and stopped and stuttered and interrupted with another almost oppositional feeling to throw you out of it, to keep you off your foot. There's scenes where she looks haunting. There's scenes where her personality completely changes. There's scenes where she is correcting him, but then he adjusts the narrative, almost like he's in full control the situation beyond human availability.
Even though he never really is.
Even though what? I'm sorry.
Even though he never really is. He's fully out of control throughout most of this entire movie.
Yes, and he even has moments where he talks above a decimal. You know what I mean? But but when he does, it's important. And he has revelations, and he's unsure of himself in the future, of himself and exactly what he aspired to be versus what he is, versus where he's been, what he will be, what he was. You know, it's so macro, much. It's galaxy brain film directing. You know, it's galaxy brain narrative. You know, and if you try to keep up, you're only going to confuse yourself more. You know, it's one of those.
Yeah.
It's like Primer. You ever seen Primer? The most heady time travel movie ever created?
I don't think I have.
No one is smart enough to stick with Primer, dog. No one on Earth is smart enough to keep up with Primer. This movie makes me feel like that, but on the relationship side of things. Like, no one has the level of relationship experience to fully wrap their brain around what's exactly happening in this movie.
Good to know then.
You know, watch Primer, dude. That mess will bake your noodle. And then you'll be like, Mike, we gotta review Primer. You know?
I think I'm good for now.
Austin, what is your... And we did a very good job, I think, not really going into the main plot points.
This movie has so much to it that it's... I mean, for God's sake, there's a walking hallway scene with a talking pig.
Yes, there is. And that pig's important.
And did we really cover much of this movie?
No. We just said how we felt about it.
Oh, yeah, hey.
Dude. And I think that's the best. I think that's the most honest review you could possibly give. It's not necessarily a blow by blow of what happened in the film, but what the movie meant to you. What is your review of it? Was it good? Was it bad? How did it make you feel? And all we've been doing is gushing about how this movie made us feel. That's powerful, dude. I think that not many movies try to do that anymore. You know what I mean?
I mean, movies do try. It's just a matter of failure versus success. And so far, I would argue success with this movie. Like, it just really tries to make you feel and just...
Make you think. Makes you think about everything. Makes you think about nothing. This is truly the worst kind of movie for a high-functioning intellectual, because it'll make your brain spin. It'll rev your engine about literally everything. You know, like the universe, yourself.
It'll make you just go, oh, God damn it. No, I refuse to accept this.
Yeah. What do I do now? What have I done? What will I do? It also really helps you if your relationship is anything like this, get out.
That's a bad relationship, and you should get the hell out.
If you're so complacent with the state of your feelings for someone, but you have no idea how to express that, you should probably not be in that relationship, because I'm no relationshipologist, but I would think that communication is probably the most important function of maintaining a healthy relationship. You
see, I'm in a married relationship, so I'm pretty much winning at this point. I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with you on that. You have to be able to talk and communicate without judging each other for it.
And that's what this film kind of teaches you, is that our narrator cannot truly convey how she's feeling about Jake to Jake, because I don't think Jake is emotionally capable of even understanding it.
He's not. He's like a 35-year-old dude that accepts stuff with the meek passivity of a middle schooler in his first relationship.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's emotionally stunted, where there's moments where he's lively, there's moments where he's excited, there's moments where he's angry, but it's all on an undercurrent of almost complacency, of detrimental, toxic complacency. Like I said, he doesn't speak above an octave. He gets upset multiple times in this movie. And when it happens, you're like, this dude has problems, man. Like, it's time to go. But to her, he's just kind of maybe like a frog on a log, not really setting her world on fire. And even there's a scene where they talk about when they first met, and this is the one time in the film where she's actually not, blood curdling depressed. And even that's spoiled. Like her giddiness is not rewarded. The audience isn't rewarded for it. Or slapped on the hand again. This movie doesn't let you win. If that makes any sense. It doesn't let you win, dude. It constantly gives you it gives you feedback. It gives you emotional feedback every single time. I love this movie. I absolutely love it.
This movie is like, it's good, but my God, it's hard to really digest.
It's a requiem for a dream for me. It's kind of like, yeah, this is a great movie. I'm probably not going to watch this for a long time. It's just a little too heavy. It hits a little too close to home on certain things because it talks about everything and it talks about nothing. And I'm going to keep saying that because I truly believe that this movie is for as high level as it wants to be. At its core, it's not saying anything.
I agree.
It gives you 1,000 words when two will do.
I would agree with that entirely. Yes.
And there's even a meta scene that it sees through itself. And you're like, are they really just doing this in the middle of the movie? Like, are they just critiquing their self in the same movie? And you're like, yes, because why not?
They are 100%. And they want you to know that
and they
accept it.
Yeah.
And to realize that life is hard on a farm.
Life is hard on the farm, dude.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Don't go into the basement.
Oh, that freaking dog. Oh, that poor Jimmy.
Jimmy, man. Jimmy's a trip. Jimmy's a good boy, but he's a black hole son good boy.
Yeah.
He's not the good boy you pet. He's like, how the husky from The Thing was a good boy?
Mm-hmm.
He's a good boy. You just don't pet him. You're not gonna have a good time. What would you classify this movie?
It's a movie about the stagnation of a relationship and how to best avoid that. What it's going to mean for you if you don't. But by God, it's hard to really anything else to it.
If you walk into a Blockbuster, where is this sitting?
This is in the
drama.
It's either drama or tense. It's not a horror movie. It's
like a thriller. It's a
thriller is a good way to put it. Yeah,
it's a relationship thriller. In a weird way, and it's not a thriller based on the subject matter. It's not a thriller even based on the dialogue or the story. It's based on the camera. The camera makes it. The camera and the cinematography and the color choices. There's one of my favorite scenes in the movie. No spoiler because we know they go to their parents' house. And what do you do when you go to your significant other's parents' house? You go have dinner. And there's a scene where the family's in the dining room. And the dining room is color lit to be warm. But the narrator's in the other room. And her room is color lit to be cool. And it's so sharp and drastic that it blew my eyes out. I was like, this movie is so smart. Because, you know what I'm talking about? It's for a split second. But that scene is like, oh my God, like, this is so smart. Like, she's in a whole nother universe in that room. And they color coordinate the scene to where it almost feels like two worlds. Like you're passing into another plane. And in that room, everything's brighter. Her hair is brighter. Her skin tone is more lively. Everything's more lively in that scene versus what we've had to deal with since we got in that damn car.
Yeah. Yeah, my God. Yeah. How do I digest this movie? With coffee at 12 o'clock in the morning? Probably.
This is one you probably throw up later.
I mean, yeah,
in the best way possible.
That's also not entirely inaccurate.
Dang. So I think we've talked enough about the film. If you were to rate this from 0 to 5 talking pigs, what would you rate this movie, Austin?
I'd give this a good 4 because it's a good movie, but I can't agree with the full 5 because this is just hard to digest in full.
I'm right there with you. I would give it a 4.5 because I really like this movie. I really, really like this movie. It made me feel. It made me feel, dude. Like, not many MOTN reviews do that. But it does have its flaws. I think it's very wordy. I think, like I said, this movie says 1,000 words for two ado, but I think that's the point. But it still gives it a markdown on my book. So I think some of the actors are way stronger than the others. So there's really no there's not a real good actor balance. Even though honestly, everyone kind of kills it though. So I can't even really knock it off the park there. The father is great. The narrator is amazing. Of course, Toni Collette is, the narrator does so many shifts in her acting style, her body language, her eye contact, her little facial tics that you're like, who are you, man? Why have I never seen you in anything? Jesse Buckley, dude. Like, who are you, man? It's just so good. It's so good. But I have to give it a 4.5 just because it's not perfection. This isn't like Poltergeist or Jaws or something, but this movie really affected me. And, I would recommend anyone to watch it. If you're in a relationship or you're not, if you're in the twilight of your life, if you're just starting out, just watch this movie. It will open your eyes to multiple things. It'll make you think about things. It'll make you feel things. It'll make you scared. It'll make you laugh. It'll make you despair. It's everything, man. This movie is a damn buffet of emotion. And I can't recommend it high enough, man. Any last thoughts before we close this bad boy out?
It's a good movie. I recommend this movie, but after you're done, sit outside and enjoy some sunshine and let it bake in your skin because, God, you're going to fucking need it.
Yeah, do something you love. Like, after I watched this movie, I just turned it off and started playing video games. I had to do something. I couldn't just sit there with my thoughts. Like, I had to go, make myself a smoothie or something, man. I had to do something. Hug your loved ones after watching this movie, man. Be thankful for what you have. Austin, where can we find you?
You can find me at Austin Ozzy on Twitter and Twitch and maybe Instagram someday. Who knows? I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to bake myself with the sun.
Are you grossly incandescent, my man?
I mean, that'd be nice, just like be able to cure all my wounds with like a bit of Sunny D, but who knows, right? Ugh.
I would drink. I don't want to get on a Dark Souls tangent, but I'm sure what they're drinking does not taste like Sunny D.
I mean, all I know is it's been like 60 degrees here recently, and I'm fucking loving it.
Same here. We just got out of a really bad heat, like a heat wave. Not to mention that our state's on fire.
Oh yeah, because of the gender reveal party.
Yeah. It's a boom. That's not funny.
It's a killer.
It's killer. Queen. If you want more content like this, of course, you can follow us at our website, which is masterofthenerdiversecast.com, where you can listen to all of our archived episodes, comic book reviews, video game talk, and of course, our weekly channel. If you want to find us on social media, we're of course on Twitter, which is at mnerdiverse, where we have fun things like polls. I post weird things. Austin jumps in and throws a whoopee cushion at me every once in a while. We all laugh. It's so much fun. If you want to support us monetarily, you can always do so via Patreon, patreon.com/MOTN. Or if you want to support us non-monetarily, you can always do so by subscribing to our channels, by commenting on our posts, and by liking our content, because feedback is always important. If this is your first time listening, I would like to say hello and welcome you to the Nerdiverse.
It has been a pleasure, and it has been a pleasure being here to talk about this movie with Mike, even though it has been highly confusing.
We're all confused right now. I am your confused host, Mike G.
And I am your boy with the most, I think, Austin.
And we will always ask you to look towards the skies. Look towards the skis.